Howdy, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Log Talk with Pert Near Outdoors. This is your host, Billy, and this week we've got a conversation coming to you with kind of like a turkey season update with Andrew Noble, who's been on before, Brian Gottfried, who's been on before, and Jimbo and myself. The four of us chit-chat about how our seasons have been going so far, mainly Jimmy, Brian, and Andrew, since they are more avid turkey hunters than I. Andrew's been going for a couple months now. He did a bunch of traveling out of state and is doing a bunch of guiding as well. So a lot of really good insight and some good humor from him. He's always a fun one to talk to. He's got a lot of witty little jokes, and his sense of humor is quite amusing to me. So hope you enjoy the chat. I'm not going to talk too much about it because we're going to jump right into it. But as we have talked in the past, just going to run through a few of the kind of partners we're working with right now and some opportunities you have to save a little money on stuff that you may already be looking to purchase. So if you're looking for a mobile hunting GPS app, we have chosen to start using and partnering a little bit with Basemap. I definitely encourage you all to check them out. I really enjoy the platform. Like a lot of the other apps out there, you can use it on your phone as well as on the desktop. So you can be out in the field marking and tracking and doing things of that sort, and then you can actually come back home to your computer and take a look on a big screen exactly what you were doing. Check that out. You can get it in your app store. You can get it whether iPhone, Android, any of the above. You can use those. And if you would like to get a discount when you purchase your 1-year subscription, you can go to the website, basemap.com, and type in promo code PERTNEAR20 and save yourself 20%. Genesee 3D printing. As you know, I'm working with Austin over there as well on his website. If you are looking to purchase anything from him, if you use PERTNEAR as your promo code, you will save 10% off your order. I had a successful hunt Friday morning before work. I jumped out into the turkey blind and took my computer with me, not knowing how long I was going to sit there. I was doing a little work and catching up from traveling for the week, and just doing a little flock talk, as the kids call it today. And I was using my bushwhacker game calls, so I was using my new crystal over, I don't know, my crystal pot call. There's probably a better terminology for that, and Andy will correct me. But crystal pot call, it's got the bushwhacker logo inlaid on it, and thing's pretty sweet. It looks good and it sounds good. I was using that, and I was using one of his diaphragm calls, kind of taking turns back and forth on them. And about an hour after sitting there, had a hen join me, and she brought all the boys to the yard, and one of them came home with me in the back of my truck. So that was pretty awesome. Memorable hunt for sure. And I'm really enjoying using that homegrown, locally built calls a lot. So I've got Andy. I bought a bunch of calls from him and put them up on our website so that there could be an easy platform for him to sell them instead of trying to deal them out of the trunk of his car, as he did not have a platform to do so. So if you're interested in purchasing any bushwhacker game calls made by Andy Bush right here in Wyoming County, head over to our website, pertnearoutdoors.com. If you use promo code PERTNEAR10, I'm kind of going to start using that for anybody that listens to the podcast. You can save 10% off your order on our website. We also have some T-shirts up on there that are left over from the got a couple extra of each size from the Shed Fest. So if you did not enter but you'd like one of the T-shirts, feel free to jump on to the website and get those shirts before they're gone. We are planning to work on getting some more merch throughout the summer, some T-shirts, hoodies, and hats. But trying to get past some of the craziness that we've had over the last couple months with giveaways and events, and settle down a little bit, let the checking account rebuild before we dive into this, being that we are currently a net loss organization. So if you'd like to help us with that so we are not losing money, purchasing stuff on our store would be a huge help, and using any of the affiliate links that we have links to them on our website, as well as probably the easiest way to do it, as many of us I know shop on our phones. Use the link tree in our bio on Facebook and on Instagram, and that link tree will take you to a site that gives you a bunch of little bubbles that you can click on for different stores. Cabela's, Camo Fire, Black Ovis, Sitka, Mountain Ops. Trying to think. I think Sportsman's Warehouse is on there. So a bunch of different stores for stuff that you may be out there looking to buy. So anything you purchase through those links, there's really nothing you have to do other than clicking on that link. That's the hardest part for you, and that will help us make a little bit of a commission. So thank you all for the consideration there. If you'd like to support us, that's greatly appreciated. And then lastly, if you would like to give us a rating, give us a review on iTunes or on whatever platform you listen on, it'd be greatly appreciated. And I think what I'll do, and I've heard some other podcasts do this, and it's kind of a cool idea, that if you give us a review, I will, especially a 5-star review, that'd be nice. I will read those reviews on the podcast, acknowledge you as a wonderful listener, and I will send you a Pert Near sticker. How about that? Or a couple stickers even. I might even feel generous. I might even send you a couple. So if you could do that, it'd be much appreciated. It would help us get on the board and start growing the audience a little bit. That's, again, what it's all about. Just getting this out there, enjoying the discussions, enjoying meeting people, sharing fun stories, and just having a gathering place and building the community here. So thank you all for everything. Have a great week. I hope you get out there and shoot that big tom if you have time, or catch those fish, because it is getting warm and beautiful. So I'm wanting to wet a line and set that hook. So good stuff, everybody. Have a great week. You know what to do. Keep feeding them.
Hello.
Yeah, that's your
Yeah.
name.
Squirrels got me.
Big Jim.
Yeah.
Really, 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 really cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
That's good that you think that of it, because that's what deer hunting typically is cold and fun.
Yesterday morning, I'm glassing up on the pass and I see these deer moving, and I'm like, ooh, there's some deer moving. All of a sudden, I just see this person just head down, just hauling ass, wearing shorts and a t-shirt with a pack on. And I'm like, is that Tard? My dad always talks about floating through the woods like the autumn breeze.
So Robert's
when you're
the
275
ghost,
pounds, I don't know how you do that, but
the Freightliner. It's just like a creeper. You're just kind of up in the corner watching what's going on down there.
yeah.
You know,
He's like,
he's up there slapping it, pissing all over everything.
is it warm yet?
How did you know the name of the actor?
That's I know.
Why did you say his name?
Hervé Villechaize.
You know what pert near means.
If you know what pert near means and you live in America, you're a redneck too.
Welcome to the Log Talk Podcast, brought to you by Pert Near Outdoors.
Old sap bush back there. See all the blue tubing.
Oh, nice. Got a little sap run, huh?
Well, it was a shit year. I only got like half yield.
Huh. Yeah, normally I got them gobbling down behind my house, but number one, I haven't spent the time to listen to it. And number two, I know I'm not going to hunt down there, so I don't really waste my time.
Yeah. Just got Alicia's 10-pointer back.
Damn.
It was a nice little scary 10-banger.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Again, first time I did the old the shoulder turn like that with the pedestal style.
Yeah, I don't have any like that.
It's pretty cool. Something different. It looks better when you get a little bit further away from it.
It's funny because like I never had my own garage, so I had a bunch of deer mounted, and I didn't really have like a way to make it to what I was going to end up with. So I just did a bunch of them, and now I have like all of them looking one way. I'm like, shit, that don't really work.
Yeah, I've tried to get pretty good about it. Like I got the left turn, right turn. Then I did the Euro plaque up there, and I ended up moving one guy up over the stairwell. That's my first 20-inch wide Kansas buck.
Kansas buck, huh?
Yeah, Kansas. That's my best one right there. That's a 144.
Nice.
I have a really hard time not shooting the first 130 that walks by.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just started touching 130 this year, so I'm nobody to judge. I'm normally the first nice 2.5-year-old, and I can't hold back. So luckily this year I did hold back, and I ended up with a nice 3.5 or whatever it was. So
that was a good buck.
Yeah, that archery buck was a monster.
Yeah,
A lot of character.
I mean, your program really in the last 2 years come a long ways, though.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely having a kid makes you hunt smarter, not harder. So
yeah, sometimes that harder stuff and haunting your woods too much can be counterproductive.
Yeah, because that was I think that might have been my first sit of the year there.
Yeah,
I might have sat 2 other times up on top of the hill, but that was the first sit on our property.
If you start thinking back to how many times the first sit kills, it's pretty incredible. As I started thinking back, first sits are when things are good.
Yeah, because I had that stand there. It was on the other side of the logging road, about 40 yards away. I just never liked the setup because it was right on the base of the hill.
Yeah,
right where the steep part comes down, and it's just, I feel like when you go up to it, you're getting too close to the side hill and shit's watching you. And so I dropped it back like 60 yards and put it in a tree and left. And I came back on Wednesday and I shot that buck.
That's how that cookie crumbled.
Absolutely.
How's a bush latte?
Oh God, it's hitting just right now.
I'll get the old triple beard behind me tonight.
Nice. I gotta get me one of them turkey mounts.
Yeah, my Merriam's is getting done right now, and then my Osceola is dropped off. So
nice. You got a good house for taxidermy. Them high walls.
Yeah, it was done on purpose.
Nice.
Yeah, this is the kind of the not worthies. I have those skull hangers, and I change the Euros out every once in a while, freshen it up.
Yeah, I got a bunch of those in my garage.
Yeah, they're pretty handy.
That's what I started going with because I got, I don't know, 7 mounts or 8 mounts. And pretty much now, unless I shoot something that's like 140 plus, I'm probably not mounting it.
Yeah.
There she is. There's the other turkey killer.
B-Got's coming in hot.
Oh, he's joining up.
Yeah, I was getting worried about him. I thought he was we were gonna find his sneakers on a bridge somewhere.
I gotta make sure that he ain't got the old ticking in the background that we had during our deer hunting podcast. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was like his desk wiggling or something, but it was like a tick the whole time in the background. It was weird.
Yeah. Running the old lady's computer. I don't mind having her name there.
Oh yeah. I'm on Billy's right now, so
that's the cool thing to do is take her last name nowadays anyhow, right?
Right. Yeah, is that where you was I supposed to do that? Maybe Brian will have to be the first one to do that of us.
I don't know. I got him in my phone that he got. I don't think I can change it.
Yeah. Well, that's a mighty nice little room you got there.
The old cat dad.
Yeah. You hear that fucking thing? Won't leave me alone.
That's great.
Just scored me worse than that gobbler did the other day too.
What, did the old boy try to beat you up?
No, dude, it was better than hell. I went to pick it up at the truck and freaking stabbed my palm with its spur. First time I've ever had a freaking spur injury.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right. Well, let me get this thing started up here. I've been recording the old BS session, but this week we got on Brian Gottfried and Andrew Noble. We've had these guys on before, both in turkey season and deer season, but we wanted to do a quick mid-season catch-up here of the turkey season. Brian just got on the board. Your dad
Yeah,
got on the board
did.
couple days before you, and then Noble's just your typical turkey slayer. He's been killing birds for weeks. So
I was on the struggle bus pretty good week 1, but I still was getting it done, but not in my usual fashion.
yeah. So why don't we talk about that? How did everybody's season start up? I mean, I had a pretty good youth hunt. We had a bird hang up on us on the other side of a little draw, and we worked him till, I don't know, probably 8:00. And then the girl we were hunting with had to take off and go do some pictures for lacrosse. So we didn't have the whole morning Saturday. And then Sunday, the birds were off further to the east, and they hit the ground and shut up and went south on us, and we couldn't hunt that. So that was that. And then opening weekend for us was just dead. So how'd you guys do opening weekend?
My season started in March with an Osceola, so that was pretty sweet. That was the first day. I actually ran a scoot and shoot and brought these birds about 500 yards down this sand road, and actually hate to say it, but I totally whiffed on the first shot, and I was running the single jingle and had about a 4.2 second reload and was able to dump him. And it was a dandy 1.5 hooks, 11.5 and 20.62, which is a stud of an Osceola. So that was really, really cool. I won't get into the whole story but we drove north to Georgia the next day, and I convinced the guys that I was with to give me till checkout of the hotel the next day to try to get a 1-day Georgia bird dead. And I struck one, and I went in, and it took me quite a bit for this old Yankee to walk through shin deep swamp water in Georgia and get into, screw it mode and say, if a cottonmouth's going to get me, a cottonmouth's going to get me. And I ended up getting back into this little grove of cypress, and the bird, I only gave him one tree talk, and he must not have had a hen anywhere within earshot, let alone getting wings over it and beating that thing down in a week, because he came screaming in way earlier than those birds in Florida flew down, and he landed in a 30-foot tall pine tree to my left. And he got on the limb and was doing the old craning and looking in my hole, and he's at 22 yards, and I don't have my face mask up yet. So I'm statue, and after about 8 minutes, he let a gobble out. 3 gobbles later, he hops down behind the only laurel bush in my opening. I'm still perplexed, like what move I should have done, but my move, I didn't want to hen call him because I hadn't made a hen call yet. I went for the old leaf scratch beside me, and he gobbled, and I said, all right, that's the Mortal Kombat move, finish him.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to come around the laurel, and it was going to be dump city, and he putted. And I got into freak out mode, and I tried to thread one at some red behind that laurel, and no dice. So I should have had a Georgia bird dead for my 11th state, and that didn't pan out. Then I went to Virginia and Maryland and did not do well there. Early spring or late spring. I mean, I think that's what a lot of people are dealing with. We're dealing with it here. It's been a late spring all over. Just wicked henned up birds and virgin public land. I'm pretty fortunate we were on birds every day, but really, 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 I'm not going to say it was a loss. I learned a lot, but definitely 2 of the hardest states I've ever hunted in Virginia and Maryland.
You think it's just number of birds there on the regular, or you think it was just because it was a late spring and everything's henned up?
Virginia, the track I was hunting was the George Washington National, which is 1.2 million acres. Last year during COVID, they harvested somewhere around 650 birds, which is about 1 bird to every 2,500 acres. So yeah, bird density is an issue.
Yeah.
Laurel, I discovered a newfound hatred for mountain laurel. Wanted to end it all a few times, getting into entanglements of that. And, it was just hearing that distant tuka, 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 tuka. Like, is that a gobble? Tuka, 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 tuka. Oh, yeah. And then just So it was a great trip. Turkey camp. I love doing the road trips thing. It was still a good time. Got weathered out at the end of the week. I was going to try and hit West Virginia, and that didn't pan out. Youth day though, and then I'll let B-Gots get in that. But youth day, Saturday I had we had 2 birds that were killable. They were over the wrong property line, and no shots taken. And it was, but killable birds in range, just over the other side of the wall.
Yep.
I ended up having to leave, and Dad took the kid to another spot, and I gave him TSS 8 to run, and because he was running, I think, like Winchester Supremes, probably an effective range of like 25-30. He ended up dumping the bird at like closer to 50 yards and made a TSS believer out of them, 2-year-olds. So I ended up running right over there and taking pictures with them. So it was cool. I was part of it anyhow in the morning, and then got to go over there. And we took the bird over to a youth hunt where there was, I believe, like 16 birds that got shot in that youth tournament. It was just really awesome to see all the mentors and the kids. It was a really, really well-run event in Amsterdam, New York.
Yeah, I think I saw the pictures of that there. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was I'm all about the mentorship in the youth, and it was a really, really good time, well-run event. And then Sunday, I took a girl out that hunted with me 4 times during the regular season last year, and we got really close. She actually shot a bird on the last day with me last year. It flew into some stuff. I thought the bird was fatally injured. I ended up finding the bird in September. When I was deer scouting. I had the skull, a majority of the beard, and the spurs. And I actually took one of my fans and did a plaque mount, gave it to Dad. She didn't know. He gave it to her for Christmas, which was mad cool. She was super pumped about that. Nice. And Sunday morning, I had 6 longbeards at 25 yards, and she was going one to the other. I think if it was 1 to 2 birds, done deal. There was too many birds, too much going on. And to make a long story short, they were out of there. I called the group back in, and they were almost in range. And the Jake that they had been running around cut the distance halfway in between me and them, and just gave us a gravy 15-yarder and done deal. And that was just, that was really, really cool to watch her put that bird down. So great youth weekend for me.
Nice. Let's get Brian's youth hunt weekend here.
Youth hunt weekend, I took a 12-year-old girl out that not only obviously but she had never hunted before, but nobody in her family hunts. And Dad just wants her to he's trying to encourage her to get involved in the outdoors. I think Dad maybe deer hunts a little bit, but not much. And she was all about it. We met up middle of the week before the hunt, and like so many times in the past, they show up with their own shotgun, and just, not the ideal setup for turkey. But I quickly, usually I'll say, all right, well, you shoot that at a target a couple times, and then we'll compare that to, and if they had a turkey choke, I would just, give them some good shells. But a lot of times they don't even have a good turkey choke. So right. I give them the option to shoot one of my guns. I have a couple different youth model guns, and I've taken some youth people out that are, pretty big kids, so I've given them the 12 gauge. But either way, they showed up with the Mossberg 500 with full. Actually, I think I had a modified choke, and they had some game loads and stuff. So I was like, it was also getting dark. I said, let's just skip and get right to the business. Why don't you shoot my gun at the target? We'll see how it looks. Put up a shoot and see target, and one shot with the 870 with I put a red dot on it this year, and so red dot, turkey choke, TSS, one shot, and she was like, oh yeah, I'm shooting that gun for sure. So she was all excited, man. She was super excited, and we went out in I think this is the first time it's ever happened to me, but Dad overslept. We were supposed to meet at X whatever time, and I was at the parking area like right on time, and 3 minutes later I get a phone call from Dad, and I was like, oh, he either can't find it or he's overslept. And sure enough, he had overslept. He woke up at 3 a.m., was nervous that his alarm was set for the wrong time and set it for p.m. instead of a.m., supposedly. So I ran over to where we were going to walk in, where I had been hearing a bird preseason pretty regularly. And I walked up in there just to listen. And sure enough, I dropped him a pin, told them where to find me. And they pulled up just about legal shooting. Like being oversleeping really didn't affect our hunt any, because I didn't hear the bird that I expected to hear. And they knew that was going to be the case, that if, we hopefully would get a roost hunt going, but if not, we were going to put some miles on. And so we started walking, and we had gotten to a spot where Jess had killed her bird yet last year opening day. And I've had numerous encounters in this one particular spot. And so I told them, like, we probably, it seems like in this property, we have to be right on top of them to get them to gobble. And so we got down to that spot, and I hit the call, and multiple birds gobbled, like way off in the distance. So I was like, all right, cool. We have time to set up this time. And we set up, and I called again, and they gobbled, and they were far away. So we jumped across the clearing, got set up again. And by the time we got set up, they had cut the distance and were like coming over the rise right in front of us. And I was like, this is so perfect. They're going to hit this logging road. Because we were next to this clearing, where the logging road hits the clearing, I put a hen decoy just to give them something to look at, because it's pretty wide open where we were. And man, they came up there, they saw that decoy, and they just skirted us at like 80 yards. But they gobbled good the whole way in. They gobbled multiple times while we were looking at them. 3 nice long beards, and they just skirted us and continued to gobble and walk away from us up the hill like we weren't even there. And I was like, this is cool. We can head them off very easily. So we made a big loop, and about 3/4 of the way through our loop, when I was starting to, in my mind, question where should we go down this logging road or go up the hill a little further, they started gobbling on their own like crazy. And I think they must have met up with some hens, or maybe a Jake got in the mix. They were really fired up. So it made it easy for us. So we got up above them, and when that little trigger inside me said, don't go any further. And I thought, man, the hill drops off enough. We have plenty of room. I'd rather be a little closer to the edge of the woods. I took one more step, and I just saw turkeys running through the woods. So I screwed that up for us. We went and got in the truck and drove around, and we went down the other end of the property, and I saw a lone, we drove by a field once, nothing. And on the way back through, I see a lone bird out in the field. Quickly glass it, but the grass is tall, but I'm pretty confident it's a gobbler. And it's super easy to set up on this bird. So we run across the field, get in the woods, slide down the hill. I set up a decoy in this little clear cut, and it should have been a done deal. And I call, and the bird answers right away. And I'm like, holy crap, this is going to happen. And I call again, and the bird answers. I'm like, cool, let's just shut up on him and see what happens. We waited a couple minutes. I call again, and he gobbles, and it sounds like he's in the same spot. And I look at her, and I go, that's him telling us that we need to come to him, because I had explained to her how it works in nature, and how we're trying to reverse it and all that. And so I'm like, that's him telling us that we need to go to him. And within 30 seconds of saying that, down at the bottom of this clear cut, maybe like 100 yards away, there's like one beam of sunlight hitting the ground in the woods, and this bird's just full strut in the little beam of light. And I was like, this is awesome. I couldn't have asked for anything more. All he has to do, he already sees the decoy. He's just going to walk 50 yards closer, and we're going to shoot him. And that bird didn't gobble again. He came out of strut maybe like a minute later, and then just walked off. I watched him through binoculars for 5 minutes, and he just fed his way through the woods. I'd call at him. He didn't even pick his head up. It was like the weirdest thing ever. But she got a good experience. She got to hear a bunch of gobbling. She saw some turkeys. We went out on Sunday and didn't hear anything. We went and actually set up in that area of the woods, expecting to hear those birds again. Didn't hear anything. We did a little bit of hunting around that woodlot. Didn't hear anything. And we hopscotched around. We hit some state land, and I just hiked them all over creation trying to get a bird to gobble, and we did not have anything. She did get to see a waterfall on the public land. She was very happy about that, and that made for some good photo opportunities for the family. Yeah, that was youth season. It was a close call on 2 occasions on Saturday, and A lot of walking on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of the same for us. I mean, we didn't do as much as the covering the miles as you did, but we had a farm there that we could hunt for the youth hunt, and I had kind of had them patterned out in the week, and we kind of, I don't know if we threw a curveball on them with being in their spot, but something happened and he didn't come in. I don't know if it was me with the decoys in the field or what, but we also kind of accidentally got right underneath him on roost. I didn't know he was there. I went to roost the night before and never heard a gobble, and the birds further down to the east were gobbling. And I was like, well, it's getting light out. They might be on the ground. They seem like their tone changed a little. Maybe I'll throw a little bit of a call out and get a little bit louder. And when I did, the bird that was still in the tree about 80 yards away gobbled right down our backs. And we were like, holy shit. So that was pretty cool. And then when he hit the ground, he just stood in eyesight on the opposite ridge and just strutted and gobbled and did his thing. But no matter what we did, he wouldn't come. So she said that was the most action she'd ever seen. She'd been out before with her dad, but I guess not any hunts that had that much action for that long. So she was definitely stoked about that. And then you could tell the second morning she was dragging a little. And then the lack of gobbling, you could tell the enthusiasm wasn't quite there like it was the day before. And I think she was ready by the time we called it quits at 9 to go home and sleep the rest of the day. So it was fun. She definitely had a good experience. We'll probably hook up with them again. So that was a good time.
Nice. That's the important part. If you can get them back out, it's not just the youth season. I'm going to try to invite that girl back out again sometime.
I'm just really glad
this season just sucks for me. What's that?
I'm just really glad I'm not handicapped like you fellas out in Western New York with this bird population.
Yeah, it's rough, man. That's the thing that's been killing me the most is not being able to travel. And if it comes down to it, I might be leaving work on that, at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night and driving to Cobleskill or somewhere that somewhere else in the state that I hunt to try to find some birds. I just went out tonight and I've seen these birds since well before the season, and clearly nobody's putting pressure on them because they're still doing the same thing they've been doing for the last 3-4 weeks. And I went and knocked on a door and the dude was all smiley and I thought for sure it was going to work out. And he was like, oh no, I lease it. And the guys, or he didn't say lease. There might have been a little bit of a language barrier, but he was like, they have insurance and I can't let anybody else go. And I was like, man, I'm positive those guys are just deer hunting, because if they were turkey hunting, those birds would be screwed up by now. But now I got to just keep driving by them on the way to my hunt spot every day and watch them.
Yeah, we need some breeders breeding them.
I think
True.
we should all go to Andrew's house and just fucking have him guide us out there.
If you want some Jakes right now, I could put you on some serious tall feathers.
Billy would shoot anything. He doesn't know how the hell to kill a turkey. So,
Billiam, come on now, and I'll give you a tall feather.
I'll hunt anything with 2 legs at this point. Bearded or not bearded, I don't really care.
Your haircut looks pretty fast, similar model to mine.
Yeah, it's a pretty inexpensive lifestyle we live, isn't it?
I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice though, so it doesn't really.
No.
Did you get a haircut, Jimmy? Or you just got it all stuffed under that hat?
Oh, it's all stuffed under the hat.
Oh, Jebediah? Is that what you meant?
That's due again. It's getting to the point where it's uncomfortable to wear a hat, and that's about my threshold.
Sure.
You're gonna
or
get
you just got to change your hat.
You're gonna get the
What's
turkey,
that?
You're gonna get the turkey track on the side of your head next.
I would have. If I had seen that before my last haircut, I probably would have done it.
My buddy I'm guiding with, Jordan Davenport, he got the turkey track buzzed right into his head. the opener.
What would be the best is if every time you kill the turkey, you just put a cut in your eyebrow. Next thing you know, you got no eyebrows left by the end of the season.
So I can
What's
tell
up,
you
boys? I'm a little late to the party. Sorry about that.
Well, we just kind of recapped our youth hunts. Noble's little trip he took there. And then for opening weekend for you and I, other than the fact that we all got back in camp for the first time since last year. There really was nothing exciting going on there. So I'm not going to hold up much on story time with opening weekend, but if you guys got anything to share from your opening weekend, love to hear it.
Saturday was I ended up, I was actually supposed to have clients my first 3 days, and the three guys from Pennsylvania backed out. I think it was weather related. I think they looked at the weather and said nah, but who knows. But anyhow, I ended up, my two buddies that have the farm right close to me, the sooner they get birds, pretty much the sooner that I can get on the farm. So I decided to take them out, and could have doubled, but my one buddy Chris filmed the whole thing. In that wind, it was really tough to hear him on the roost. We heard him, but very faintly. I knew they were working above us, so we ended up making one big horseshoe around, and I still didn't get in front of them, but I peppered the box call and got 2 gobbles out of them, and switched to a diaphragm and coaxed them right down the edge of the cornfield, and it was a done deal at probably, I don't know, it was probably around 7-ish. Had a 50-yard shot and dumped a nice LB right there in the cornfield. Trying to recall. Then the bird that we worked on a youth weekend, which I knew was a very mature bird, that took 2 hens and beat feed out of this roost, which there was a pile of male birds, and this one mature just got out of there with hens right away. I went up there at 11 o'clock hoping to strike him, and I did. And he was about 600 yards up on this bank, and I struck him, and he didn't gobble independently. He gobbled to my call every time, and he marched, and he got right on my level about 100 yards out, and I'm like, phew. I jinxed myself. I popped the safety. I said, this is done. And it never fails. Whenever I'm premature on the safety pop, I know better. But he just shut up. Once he got around that marshy area, I said, he's coming. And he shut up. I ended up walking out at noontime, seeing his track in the log road. He circled me probably 80 to 100 yards just out of sight and never made a peep. So I got some personal beef with that dude, and I'm not done with him. But Sunday morning, I had a textbook off the rooster. It wasn't, well, not completely a textbook, but he came above me and Rockstar 2-year-old, and he did a dirty right down into the decoys, and my 8-year-old was with me, and he got a 410 juicing at 22 pesos. He beat the decoy up, and my 8-year-old was pretty jazzed about that one. Of course, I always kill 2-year-olds, and whenever I take it, everybody else out, they got big spurs kicking in the air. Every time I smash one, it's got 3/4. Yeah. Another noble bird.
Is that how you guys typically are judging them? Is the size of the spurs? Like, how are you guys? A lot of people, I don't know how the hell do you know?
I mean, are you a T guy or are you an A guy? I mean, where are you at?
I'm an A guy. Yep,
yeah,
A guy.
I'm an A guy too. A guys tend to be more spur guys.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's I like it's all about the base, buddy.
That's right. Yeah, I mean that T. What does that do for you other than feed your children? That's all it does.
More than a handful's of waste.
Yeah, I'm about that.
I don't care if he's got a 4-inch dangler or a 10er. It's just swinging. Right.
It's like, where does the turds come out? That's what I'm interested in. That's what
if it's girthy, I'm into that a little bit.
That's great.
How did we get here? All I wanted to know is, how do you know a difference between a 2-year-old Tom and a 3-year-old Tom?
Michael Chamberlain and many others say you can't age a turkey past the Jake. And I think there's with spurs though, I definitely think you can tell a 2-year-old a lot of times, but there might be a stud 2-year-old that does grow an inch spur on him.
Well, it's not so much that. It's that there could be a 3-year-old bird that only has 3/4-inch spurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you have a little nub, you're pretty confident that's a Jake. When it's a 3/4-inch spur, everybody's like, oh, that's a 2-year-old. When it's like that 1/2 to 3/4 range, when it gets above 3/4, when it's 7/8 or an inch, everybody's like, oh, it's probably a 3-year-old. But that's all that Chamberlain was saying is that when they look at all those, when they look at the massive data that they have, that it's hard to tell. They have documented birds that they've had transmitters on for multiple years, and they don't have big, huge hooks. And that, I don't know. I was the same way. Like I always thought the same thing. Like you get those, mid-range spurs. It's a 2-year-old. You get a 1-inch, it's a 3-year-old, or whatever it may be. But listening to that dude's looked at more turkey spurs than anybody else. So if he says he can't say with any confidence what age they are, I kind of shied away from. After listening to him say that, I kind of shied away from making any judgments. And to be honest with you, I don't give a shit if it's 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old. I don't give a shit if it has a 4-inch beard or a 12-inch beard. If it gobbles, probably that's good enough for me, really. I mean, I try not to shoot jakes. Like I don't have a good reason for it. Like sometimes they gobble and do it right, and it sounds awesome, and then I'm like, I don't want to shoot him because he's a jake. Why don't I want to shoot him? Because I want people to think that I shoot big turkeys on Facebook or something. That doesn't matter to me. But
I've actually let them walk at about 5 to 6 yards and then called them back, and then that time it struck me to want to kill them. So
dirty deeds done dirt cheap, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We dropped the longbeard, and then these other birds started gobbling, and called them in, and they were like at my feet, and I didn't even pick my gun up. My buddy was behind me. He's like, pick your gun up. I'm like, I'm not going to shoot their jakes. And they turned and walked away to like 10 yards, and he hit the easy clucker, and they turned and walked back into like 6, and I just piled them right there.
That's awesome.
I'm like, well, I guess we're shooting one.
Points.
Jim, do you remember back in the day when we used to hunt like just on the ground next to a tree? Remember that? Those were the
weird.
days. Yeah. Are you guys blind hunters?
I can tell you right. Yes and no. It's all situational. I prefer to not hunt in the blind.
Yeah.
But just to go back to the whole jake thing, I've shot some jakes, and I can tell you right now, I'm not done. Like another one's gonna happen somehow, some way. That bird that I killed yesterday, was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. I honestly, it could have been a jake. I saw a strutter in the field, and there were other birds with it, and I kind of did a little sneak move, and the hen ended up like 2 yards in front of me, and I'm kind of stuck. Like I was sitting up against Phragmites, yellow reeds. I'm wearing dark camouflage, and I'm sitting in front of yellow reeds in a hayfield, and I knew it wasn't going to last forever, but she was feeding in front of me. She looked at me and went back to feeding, and the gobbler ended up like 30 yards out and directly in line with her. And I was kind of in a precarious position, and I didn't know how I was going to get it done.
Can you go to the couch and show us the precarious position right now?
Yeah. I want it. Yeah. The casting couch right behind you. Let's see it. Come on.
Well, see, that would be good for you guys, but not for the listeners. So
we'll put this on YouTube. That'll be
sure. Yeah. So I was laying on my side basically and holding myself up with my left hand, had my gun across my lap in my right hand. Yep, kind of like that, a little bit. You got to put your hand on the ground though, Billy.
I'm trying.
But there you go.
Yeah. Did you hold the gun?
Shave off the beard. Just leave a mustache. It'll be better.
We really fucked the story up here.
No, that's the bottom line is like that hen eventually, she never putted, she never like stood real tall, like she never really made me out, but she got uncomfortable and started to walk straight away from me, straight at that gobbler. And he's out there in the grass, and all I can see is the head. And I'm analyzing it from the second he was like visible, clearly visible. And I'm like, oh, it just looks small. It wasn't real colored. I was like, it's a jake. One of those birds I saw, it was a jake. Because when I saw the longbeard was fanning when I initially saw him in the field, and then obviously as sneaking in, I was out of view of them, so I didn't really know. And then when I did make eye contact, he was in strut the entire time, and I didn't really know. I thought the hens were on the other side of him, so every time I saw the back of his fan and couldn't see his white head, I would just start crawling, and I'd get a little closer and a little closer and a little closer. And so the fact that this hen's right in front of me, and here's this red head, but like not really that red, and it looks kind of small. I'm like, I think that's a Jake. And he's not strutting. So the bird that I'd seen hadn't come out of strut for 25 minutes now. Why would he just not be strutting at this moment? So I had like some serious doubts. But when that hen started to walk away, it didn't matter. Like I was like, I'm shooting this bird. If it's a Jake, it's a Jake. Like I'm shooting. And it turned out to be the right thing. It was 2 hens and a longbeard, and it all worked out. But to be honest with you, when I pulled the trigger, I had no idea what it was. I knew it was a gobbler. And, whatever. Somebody would probably say, oh, you didn't see the beard. But yeah, man, I could have probably shot Jake yesterday if there happened to be one in the field, but it worked out. Me and my dad have been talking about doing like a live, like a stuffer mount, like a taxidermy mount of a Jake to use as a decoy, and it just hasn't panned out. And then this weekend we were sitting in a blind waiting it out because we hadn't been hearing birds gobble, and we knew there were birds in the area, and that if we were just patient enough, eventually they're gonna get in earshot, or they'll just show up in the field. I did a lot of flock talk or whatever you want to call it, a lot of clucking and purring and little whines and stuff, and we weren't hearing anything. And then sure enough, one time I just did a series of yelps and a bird answered us, and bird came in and then cut behind the blind in the woods, and then started putting actually, and I don't know why, but turned around, started walking back, and I clucked a couple times, and he started gobbling again, and he eventually walked out 25 yards in the field and started to angle into the decoys, and my dad finally shot him after he was probably 20 yards, and it was a Jake, and neither one of us cared, man. He gobbled. There was everything. We were just happy that we heard a bird gobble, and now we're happy that we got a bird that we can mount. He's got it all skinned out and ready to go. So, and it had a freaking triple beard. I don't know. I never looked for multiple beards, and for some reason that thing was laying on the tailgate, and we were having victory cigars, and I just like reached down for some. I don't know what reason. I just reached down and I felt, and I'm like, wait a second, and I part the feathers, and there's another beard. Huh. And then he's like, look at this, and he starts messing around, and next thing you know, a third beard freaking pops out. Then you keep looking, hoping there's going to be more, but there wasn't. But it was pretty cool.
That was pretty wild.
Old Neil, AT3, killing tomorrow's trophies today.
Crockpot Club, yeah. His beard is just outstanding. I mean, what's
my dad's beard?
What's living in there right now? Anything good?
I'm sure there's some
nachos,
probably some steak, and probably some coffee.
Long beard.
So when it's as white as it is, you got to be pretty careful about your grooming. People would notice food in that thing. He takes care of it. I think he gets shampooed daily, and he brushes it. If you look, when we were in Colorado the year before last, wearing his bino harness and his backpack, the beard was just wasn't very comfortable, so we ended up getting some hair ties at a gas station or something. And he had it like ponytailed, and he was very adamant about me not taking pictures of him with his beard in a hair tie. But I noticed the other day when we were walking out, he's got a hair tie around his binocular, one side of his binoculars. So he's ready to get that thing into go mode if he needs to.
He's probably doing it all the time when nobody's in the woods with him.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Well, I can't grow a beard to save my life, so I wouldn't know anything about the perils of having facial hair.
He's probably got a whole bunch of wrist or like hair ties on his wrist, and he's just like driving down the road and doing his beard up. And
maybe.
Oh man. So is it kind of
hate you guys when he hears this?
It's impossible. He loves us. Is it kind of like common census of what you're hearing out there, that it has been pretty quiet in our neck of the woods, at least, Brian? Or
I don't know, man. It's hard to tell. I honestly don't have a huge network of people in Western New York. I have a large network of people that turkey hunt, but not a ton of them in Western New York. A lot of the diehard guys that I know, they've had some success, as expected. Yeah, but I have talked with a bunch of people also that, you know, they're complaining that they're just not hearing them, they're just not seeing them, and that's my situation. You know, I only have a couple places to hunt, and I've been trying to manage the pressure. I know there's birds there, but I don't want to just slam it every single day, all day, and then run them off the property. You know what I mean? I'm trying to handle it carefully, and I don't know what other people, you know, how hard they're hitting it. That's the other thing, you know.
Yeah.
Some guys might only hit it Saturday morning or Sunday morning. You know, it's hard to judge. But is the population down a little bit? Maybe, I don't know. Guys are killing turkeys, and
Yeah, I think
there's still more to be killed. But
like now that we're starting to see the weather pattern changing a little bit, all of a sudden yesterday, we started getting trail cam pictures again on the farm of turkeys, and we hadn't seen. Well, Billy and I went out Sunday. We saw that hen, and then there was 3 hens in the field Sunday night, and then on camera, and then we had a couple jakes on camera over the last day or so. So like it seems like, I mean, and that we were getting nothing for like the first week of season. There was nothing. So there was probably some pressure that was maybe affecting it, but that weather was just really undesirable for the first week of season, you know? Yeah. And I mean, Jimmy and I both drive for a living, essentially, you know, doing 1,000 miles a week. And I wasn't seeing birds anywhere, you know, even on a couple of the, trying to think of what morning it was. It might have been like maybe Wednesday of opening week. So it's probably like the 4th or 5th. I mean, just a picture perfect day, like the morning you would dream of for the early May and turkey season. And I didn't see a bird. I drove all the way from Wyoming County all the way to the other side of Ontario County, the east side of Ontario County. I didn't see a single bird. And it's like, what is going on? But now, like just in my neck of the woods, starting to see them more right now, it seems like almost maybe, I don't know what they do. I don't know how they could not be showing themselves anywhere. But, you know, like you said, people are shooting them. I mean, there's been a lot of birds shot, so it's not like they're not getting killed, but
yeah,
just not as visible as normal.
I have birds that like they're pretty regular, and I know where there's turkeys, but I can't hunt them. Yeah. You know, like I've knocked on a lot of doors this year. I've actually like more this year than ever before. I've been getting I've leased this property out. Like I don't know if something changed over the course of the last year that made people, I don't know, maybe more people had the time to go, you know, to try to lease a piece of property or whatever. But yeah, it seems a little crazy. But I've been, you know, you always get a lot of no's, but this year it seems like I've had more. And my friends that have been knocking have been doing the same. You know, they're giving the same story that just it's tough to get on them. And like I think I already was talking with these guys earlier that like I just got shot down tonight. The guy said he's leasing his property out. I'm like, well, I wanted to tell him like or ask him if they're just deer hunting because these turkeys are super regular. There's no way they've had any pressure at all. Yeah. Unless the people really don't know it, then maybe they're deer hunting and they're sitting in a blind on the other side of the property. But it's like, man, I just give me one crack at them. And I will do that. I'll go back and knock on that guy's door again in 2 weeks and be like, hey, it's the last weekend of the season. You know, what do you think? Like, I'll be that persistent. And sometimes that pays off. But yeah, it's been a little frustrating.
I gotta build up the confidence to do that up north because up where my in-laws are, it's literally you make the last hike up to their house and it's all pretty much state forest up through there, but you drop down into the bottom and it's all farmland. And the flocks that I was seeing down there this weekend were absolutely ridiculous, and they're in fields behind people's houses that I see them there every single year, and I see them there every single time I drive by, and I'm like, is nobody hunting these birds or what? Because if they were being hunted, they wouldn't be standing out in the middle of the field in a group of 15 of them.
What do you need confidence for? Just go knock on the door.
I hate doing that shit.
Come on. Yeah, I mean, good. Yeah, you shouldn't knock on doors.
No, it's
some pins.
It's gotta be something with just you and I, Jimmy, because I mean I don't think I've hardly ever asked for permission to hunt anywhere. I think Dad just raised a couple sissy boys that don't have any confidence. And look at us. All we do for a living is drive around and talk to people.
Well, you're a salesman. You ought to be able to
I know.
be the one in there doing all the talking for us.
I know. Give me, yeah.
It's all about confidence, really.
It is. Just get cleaned up and go in there, brush your teeth, and go ask if you can shoot their
That's how I
turkeys.
kill turkeys. I mean, it's just straight confidence.
Yeah. I mean, we never second guess you for having confidence, Noble. First time I ever met you, I'm like, Jesus. I'm like, this guy's a little over the top. I'm like,
a lot of confidence. I'm feeling here.
You know, I'm meeting you
blackouter.
sitting here at a bar, and you're like, yeah, like, who the hell is this guy? And I get to know you a little bit, and it's like, yeah, he really does actually freaking juice him.
I've been joking him lately.
Joking him, the jokers.
Yeah. Been running the 20 gauge, but the 410 I nicknamed the Noisy Cricket. Little Man in Black.
Awesome.
I had to nickname my 20 gauge a snood tickler.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I set that up this year. I put a red dot on it with a TSS choke and shooting TSS out of it. And
it's a game changer.
Man, that thing it's funny because I shot like number 6 game load just to get the red dot where it needed to be. And then I took a shot with a TSS and I was like, holy shit, what the freak, the difference in that shot was unbelievable. It was like switching from a 12 to a 20 gauge.
Yeah. $8 a rip, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, my father-in-law shot one with a TSS on Sunday, and I was like, well, there's your $13 bird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one yesterday. Yeah, so we killed a nice long beard yesterday morning, and that was a 67 yarder with the 12 gauge.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he did go into flight though, but he was struggling, and he sent 2 more, so that was like a $40 bird.
Yeah. Dude,
the bird came down, and my buddy ran up over the hill. My 8-year-old was with me between my legs on that one. He was actually snoring through most of the gobbling. So I was like, he's not too hooked yet. But he saw the bird come crashing down. He looked at me and goes, Dad, that was that turkey's last flight.
Oh, yeah.
So
yes, it was, son.
We were up at my in-laws there, and we were down visiting my brother-in-law. He bought a house down in Utica. So we went down there Friday night for dinner, and we drove a couple different vehicles so me and my father-in-law could go back and roost. And they're all like, what do you got to do with roost? And I'm like, I got to put them in the last tree they're ever going to sleep in. Oh, my father-in-law was laughing. He was like, that was a good one. So Saturday was just a freaking washout up there. It rained all day long. And driving around, I mean, there was birds in every field, but they weren't strutting, weren't gobbling. They're just, everybody was just out there feeding out in the middle of fields together. And we tried to set up on one, and it had absolutely no interest. So went back out Saturday night to roost in the same spot. I sent my father-in-law down the hill in the backside of the ridge where we saw him. And then I went up to the top of the hill where I could stand at the lookout and watch the whole woods down below, and you can hear forever for up there. So I got up there and I started glassing. As soon as I started glassing, I come across him sitting in a tree already at 8:05. And I took pictures and video, and there was a coyote came out in the field, and he was messing around with freaking deer, chasing them around. I videotaped that. And then we went back first thing in the morning, right 4:45 we got there, and he was probably only 200 yards off the road on the other side of the field. And I parked down in a parking spot next to the pine trees that's kind of down the hill from the lookout, and we popped the blind up right at the back of the truck and carried it right across the field, set our shit down. We were probably within 80 yards of this bird. We set our shit down right there in the middle of the field. I walked up like another 20 yards and set the decoys up on a berm. And we got back in the ground blind and got everything set up. I didn't even take my gun. I just took the camera. I wanted him to shoot it. He's never shot one before. So we were sitting there and we were kind of talking about what was probably going to happen. And I thought I heard a gobble. So I was like, was that a gobble? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, you think it was him? And I'm like, if it's him, we're going to know it because he's going to be close. And it probably wasn't 5 minutes later, and that thing gobbled. And it was like he was in the freaking blind with you because, I mean, we were within probably 80 yards to this bird. And I didn't realize it from watching him from above. I could tell there was like a pine tree patch that ended on the corner, and there was a small finger of hardwoods that ran in between a couple of fields. And I could see him roosted right on the corner of the pine. So I kind of used that for a reference when we were going in the dark. And after we shot him, I was looking in the corner there at the corner of the pines, and he couldn't have been but like 2 trees off the edge of the field with what was there. So, I mean, I was 10 minutes before he started gobbling. I walked right up there within 60 of them and put the decoys, turned around, went back, rolled the ground blind up over us, set up, and that thing freaking put on the absolute textbook show of just gobbling at every crow call and just gobbling on his own. And I never touched him until he hit the ground. He probably had 40 or 50 gobbles in by the time he hit the ground. And then he went like right into strut. And the hen that was to his right, she flew down in the woods. And he went looking for her. He could see the decoys, but he went looking for her. And I just started kind of soft talking him. And he was gobbling and drumming. And he went down the edge of the field, couldn't find her, and started coming back. But then he started putting. And I was like, what the hell? He's putting. He can't find her. He's starting to get uncomfortable. I'm like, this ain't good. And he was walking away, and he got probably 70 yards out. And I started hitting him with some sharp clucks and a little bit quicker and louder. And he went from a putt to a gobble in like the same breath and just spun around. And as soon as he did that, I just stayed on him, and he freaking gobbled. His head turned white, and he just freaking marched right in.
Well played, sir.
And of course, videoing, it would be fun to get a show of him at the decoys, but I'm still a little premature on that. Both my bird and that bird, I was like, as soon as it was within range, it was night. So he got to like 30, 35. I just told my father-in-law everything was lining up right. I was like, whenever you're ready, just take him. So he piled them. But same thing happened on mine. He came, I let him get like 3 yards from the decoy, and he was like puffing up and strutting, and he was about to pounce on the decoy, I think, and then he took a quick dirt nap. But that one didn't matter because Adam fucked up the footage. So
Junior pro staff. He's junior pro staff.
I don't even know if I give him the junior pro staff at this point.
He's losing.
I think he got demoted
from
on
the team.
that one. I think we got him on the tryout roster at this point.
Yeah. I think we need to start bringing razor blades to camp and scratching stickers off of people's trucks if they can't handle the responsibilities.
Yeah. So I was messing around with the camera after he screwed up, and he had this thing. This thing came 150 yards down the field on a string. Beautiful sunny morning, just perfect footage right out the front of the blind. And as soon as I shot, I think he hit the end button, and then he went to switch it to picture instead of video. But when you hit the end button, you got to give it like there's a little fucking timer screen, and you got to let it finish that to like write it to the memory card and finish the file. And I don't think he let that finish. I think he hit the button and then he switched it right over to picture, and I think it corrupted the file because the file's there, but ain't no video.
Dang.
We need some new friends, man.
That TSS out of that snood tickler, there wasn't no flopping on that bird.
So did you say did the video come out of Jim's? Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched it. It's great.
Is it?
It's a little like I didn't zoom in. It's funny when you're watching people, other people's videos, you're not really thinking of all the stuff that they're doing or how they have their camera set up. So, I mean, I can see how Adam messed up. It's a total different ball game, and he didn't know the equipment. I handed it to him that morning, and he started videotaping. I mean, this stuff is not freaking easy. I give people a lot of credit because, I had something that I didn't even calculate, the cross support for one of the windows. I should have had the blind rotated more towards the decoys because the way that bird came in from left to right almost the whole time, that freaking cross support was in my way. But luckily that last approach and the last gobble, and when he got shot, the camera was in good focus and everything. So I'm sure I haven't watched the whole 15
when you're in a
video.
blind, you can pick that tripod up.
What's that?
I said, when you're in a blind, you can just pick that tripod up and move it over a couple inches, right?
Yeah, that's what I ended up doing to getting the shot on cameras. I could tell I wasn't gonna have the right angle, so I just grabbed the camera and kind of picked it up and tilted it to the side, just so I made sure I was in the field of view. And luckily, it focused in all right and got the shot. But after watching the video, I would definitely mess with zoom and mess with, making sure the blind was in the right spot according to the decoys to have it all on film. And then the other thing I didn't do was I didn't film much afterwards. I think it would have been cool to film afterwards, even just if you just set the camera on the tripod and walk away and just do your thing, talking about the bird and the shot, and just even if it's candid, to still have it on tape.
Yeah, for sure.
There's nothing easy.
I don't
about
have any room
hunts.
to talk. No, I zoomed in on a freaking pine bough for Noble's Miriam in Colorado last year.
Yeah.
Didn't even have a turkey in the frame when he shot it.
Got on tact cam.
Yeah, I give people that do it a ton of credit because it's not easy. I mean, how many times have we carried the cameras with us and it's like moment of truth and you just like, screw that, shooting this thing.
Yeah.
It's a serious commitment, all these guys out there that do it, whether it's for money or just for pleasure. It's impressive to commit to that and get some of this footage that they're getting.
It's a lot of extra.
Yep.
Yeah, because like my biggest thing with the ground blind is you can set all this shit up and sit there in a comfy chair and just hang out. And if you got birds that are normally in the area with your decoys out, and I bought the Avian X stuff and I got the down hen with the quarter strut Jake, and I've had hens walk out and walk right through the middle of the set. I've had the gobblers come out like they're going to beat the thing down, and then they start flopping around on the ground, so they kind of miss that part of it. But I can see the joy in it. It's a lot of fun.
I'll send you some video footage of some flogging my quarter strut just to show you what you could be witnessing.
Was it you that posted videos of that one that was jumping on your, or were you talking about it? You posted a video, right?
Last year I posted a video, one that was really flogging it hard.
I went back, that podcast we did with Tyler, or that you did with Tyler. I went back and watched that video that he did for True Timber. I don't know if you went back and found that video or not.
No,
it was insane. It was the 8 gobblers down in Texas that came in and were just beating the living piss out of his decoys, and then they shot one of them. That was just ridiculous footage. It was unbelievable.
That's cool.
That would be the whole Wyoming County's entire bird population coming over to beat up your fucking decoy.
You just got to stop being such an opportunistic harvester. But I'm as guilty. I mean, when the shot's there, the shot's there. But sometimes you just got to let it sit back and watch show up.
Well, I think that's part of it, is like, now that I've done a couple of these, and my biggest thing is shooting your first bird. I mean, now I got a second tag. My bird's off of my bird. I'm not worried about shooting another bird. So if I get another bird, it's a bonus. But I feel like now with a second bird, if I got a second bird to come in like that, I wouldn't mind that possibility of not getting them if something went wrong. But
yeah,
I kind of stress a little bit over my first bird. And it's kind of one of those deals where we've been talking about shooting jakes or not shooting jakes. I don't really give a shit on my first bird, but my personal preference is if I shoot one bird, I'm probably not going to, my second bird is probably not going to be a jake. I'll pass a jake to get a long beard on my second bird, but
Yeah.
I just want to clarify that I don't really believe that there is a bird shortage, and I don't mean to be negative. I make all these comments. This is because I'm not a good turkey hunter. So I get into these conversations. I'm like, oh, there's no birds around. It's because you're a shit turkey hunter, Bill. So
well, I don't know about you, Andrew, but for me, I hunted the first 8 days of season in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I haven't missed a morning yet.
Yeah. So like even when I had to work, I was still going out for that first hour and a half just to hear, see, scout, even if it wasn't for getting something. I was still going out just to be out there. And that helps big time because with how dead the beginning of season was, I was starting to worry. And then between talking with Adam down there, because of course I was supposed to have Monday off, and with 2 days of no gobbles, I was like, I'm going to work on Monday. I'll just go out state land quick, and then I'll go to work. And of course, he's messaging me talking about how he's got gobblers going all over the place, but I knew he wouldn't kill one, so I wasn't too worried about it. And then I went down there Tuesday morning. We got him a jake, and then Thursday morning went back down there. I had the day off, and we sat it out. We heard a bird first thing, and just like almost every hour he would gobble, and we kind of knew where he was, and we knew that in that corner at about 11 o'clock every day, a longbeard would show up. So we just sat it out, and sure as shit, we made a move at 10:30, and by 10:50 he was laying on the ground. So it's one of those things where like even that first 6 days, I mean, if I heard 10 gobbles in those 6 days, I really didn't hear much gobble until that bird we got up north. And I think a lot of it has to do with, well, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that there were hens, because I did hear some roost gobbles on a hunt I did with my buddy at his farm before work. They started hitting pretty hard on roost, and I was like, all right, we're good to go here. And as soon as they hit the ground, they shut up. They never gobbled again. So, you know, I think a lot of it has to do with them being in pretty tight groups still. You go back at 11 o'clock and hit that same spot, and I bet you'll be finding something wandering around.
Yeah, I'm dealing with henned up birds pretty bad. That was my struggle this morning. I had a bow hunter with me this morning, and I roosted a bird last night, and I've been watching the birds do the same thing for 4 days straight. I think they do it for 5. He was in the field this morning, but the wind picked up today pretty aggressively, and he was the first one to hit the field this morning, which was very optimistic, and he just needed to get to the crest of the knoll to see my deeks. He flew down the flat above me, and because he was first one in the field, I'm like, hadn't heard a hen yet. I'm like, done. And as soon as he hit the ground, I heard hen 1 to my right. Then I heard hen 2 to my left, and then I started hen calling, and it was pretty much him going, all right, ladies, who's the first one to man? Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, and he was just doing that. He was actually panic gobbled for a little bit there, just kind of running. He was, I mean, like every 5-second panic gobbling, like wondering which one to go to. And I'm like, pick me. And nah, he picked hen to the left. That was Trashy Tina, I called her. She was pretty nasally. And then I had meth hair Susie to the right, and she was extra aggressive in her talk this morning, and I just didn't sound I wasn't trailer enough this morning.
What does a meth head sound like, turkey calling wise? What does that sound like?
She was she was tripping billies. She was just really rapid fire. She didn't really know. She was very erratic in her yelps.
It was like a DMX song.
Yeah. Where am I?
That's funny. I had some the DMX has been a strong vibe lately. The other day when the kid torched a Jake in front of me, I dropped the "Y'all gonna make me lose my mind." And then the other day when one gobbled, I said, "Stop, drop, shut him down, open up shop." Oh yeah, I'm like, that's what DMX was talking about. He's talking about turkey hunting.
Yeah, I'm more of a where my hood at. That's my jam. I'm trying to figure out how that relates to turkey hunting. But
and then today I got a little reaping going on. I was all Little Wayne, and I was get low, get low, get low. The window.
The sweat dropped down my balls.
Yeah, sleep deprivation's getting real.
Yeah, no kidding. You can tell sitting here that there's 4 men on video who they get up at 4:30 every morning for the last, whatever. Everybody's looking pretty tired.
Yeah, they weren't very visible tonight. I got my bow hunter again tomorrow morning, but I got the green light on a property where I've been hearing some birds pretty consistently, and then they're unmolested, so they should be PTPers, as I call them, the primetime players tomorrow.
Are you blinding with a bow hunter?
I am. He's good. He's an excellent archer. And I believe he can get it done outside of the blind today, though. I had to give him the international sign of put your mask on way too many times. And he got pointing at birds a few times.
Oh yeah, that's something funny with new hunters is, they want to point out and gesture things that they're seeing or places they've been or where they want to go, and it's like, quit waving things around.
Please don't point at the turkey. Just talk to me. We can talk about it. Just no movement. Like,
so what talking about talking? I don't know if you saw the video I posted with my son from Sunday. He was like Billy was making a lot of noise, and that hen, she never spooked. She just came over, checked out the decoy, and she yelped a little bit and just left the field. But he was talking, making all kinds. Have you guys had experience where the birds, if they don't see something that concerns them, even if they're hearing something,
they're just so reliant on their eyesight that they really, I think all the other senses go pretty much right out the window. Unless you got, like the other day though in Virginia, my miscue of when I was scratching the leaves and I hit my box call lid, which should not have made a noise because I had 2 of my fiance's hair ties on it and strapped to my nomad vest, and it still made a and he immediately dropped strut and beat feet out of there right before the gun should have gone boom. So I mean, some audible noises, obviously, mostly I guess that in that case it was a turkey noise, but I think any type of human talk or whispering, as long as it's not really, really loud, I don't believe it's really a negative.
Well, actually, my second youth hunt, it was funny because my dad's buddy was calling. My dad was videotaping, and my dad was on the back side of this giant oak tree, and he might even have been like up on a knee or standing. And I was like sitting on the top side of it, and my dad's buddy was sitting off the side of it. I was facing the field, and my dad was trying to like tell us what to do while the birds there was like 8 gobblers coming in from every direction. And he's like, well, I think one's coming from this way. And sounds like there's a couple coming from that way. And I'm like, you think maybe we should stop talking? But he just like kept going, and fucking 8 gobblers ran right in. It was like, you're just trying to be sneaky and quiet, and he's just talking in a normal voice. And I'm like, we're going to be screwed here. But I never heard it.
We've all had the situation where you're like, shoot him.
Oh yeah.
Hey, shoot that turkey. Like, and they still just stand there.
I've done that on 2 doubles with Adam, because I'll have birds lined up, or like I'll have him lined up with the one, and I'll be ready to shoot the second one, and I'll be like, all right, shoot. And then the gun doesn't go off, and I'm like, shoot. and the gun doesn't go off. I'm like, shoot the bird, and boom. It's like, Jesus Christ, I shouldn't have to tell you 3 times. Pull the trigger.
Oh, sloppy snoods make me so happy.
Yeah.
That poor Jaker on Saturday, man. Honestly, that thing though, coming in for that kid, that was his first bird. If I was sitting in the blind with anybody, I would have played a 200 spot. That it was a long beard coming in. Best sounding Jake gobble I've ever heard. It was a full gobble. It had the end notes and everything. I said, "Oh boy." I put him specifically on this Jake pack because I'd worked them last Monday, and they were hard gobbling, hard strutting. I said these are gonna be movie stars. Because we were filming, we actually did 2 camera angles. That we ran 2 blinds side by side and did 2 camera angles.
Oh, that's cool.
That was why you got 2 videos when I sent you guys the double angle.
Yeah.
But, that Jake just he took it hard. Didn't quite keep it out of the meat, but didn't go 20.
Didn't go 20.
That was the problem we had with my father-in-law's shot. Is he just his scope was maxed out and he was shooting just to the left, so he held the circle on the left side of the circle right on his head. Well, it still hit left and low. I mean, you're kind of freehanding out of a blind, so I'm sure there could have been a little drop there of the front hand when you pulled the trigger, but you can see it in the video. It's like a tight pattern, just busting him right through center mass. That bird just buckled, and I'm like, yeah, that shot was 100% chest. So I spent probably the better part of an hour and a half picking BBs out of the chest of this thing. So
TSS at that. They're a little harder to find.
Most of it went through, luckily. So
yeah.
Wow.
The penetration is unbelievable.
I didn't have a single pellet in the breast of the bird I shot yesterday, but there was one pellet like in that sticky, like the layer on the outside of the meat on the inside of the thigh, and it was the near side thigh. Figure that out. That bird was broadside when I shot him, and then it was on the inside of his leg, on the near side leg, and there was not a single pellet in the breast.
And you only could see dome, right? You only could see waddle up. So
and I could only see the head.
That was a matrix pellet. That was a bender.
Broadside exposes hide. You know how that goes.
Head on, live long. Yep. Brian, you've been shooting your bow? You ready for a couple more weeks?
No, I haven't.
Yes, me too. I'm hearing about all these people talking about their preparation for tack, and I'm like, I'm gonna be grilling and socializing. That's what I'm gonna do.
My preparation's gonna be putting away the FMJs and pulling out the Victory Archery freaking thudders.
Bring an extra dozy.
Yep. Oh yeah.
That's my preparation's going to be buying a dozen cheap arrows.
So when are you and Jess heading down?
We're going down Wednesday night. We're shooting Thursday and Friday, both days right around 11 or 12, and then we're going to stay over Friday night so we can get drunk with you guys and head home Saturday.
You got a hotel. You got a hotel right there at the.
Not at the resort. We're at some place up the road. What are you disappointed about? I'm not. You're not the one that has to drive.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah. What do I care? Yeah. It's all right. You can sit right on our patio or something.
Talking up on White Claws, bud.
We're gonna shotgun some Trulies.
Oh, Judas Priest.
Billy's known for that.
I haven't touched a hard seltzer since the Bills home playoff game, and I'll get back into them, I'm sure, but yeah,
Did you go a little hard that day?
Went extremely hard. I had several reports from people I know in the stadium that said I was the hardest working person in the stadium that day. And I was breaking every social if there's a a widespread breakout from people with COVID, it's going to be because of me, because every time they would do anything positive, I was running between sections and hugging people. Oh God. Yeah. Casey Jenkins was there, and that's the person who was telling me that. He's like, dude, he goes, they would do something, and next thing I know, I'd turn around and you're standing, and they were 3 sections away from me. I was running through the aisles, like, and the security guards weren't giving me a hard time. As long as I have my non-CDC approved mask up over my face, I was fine. So memories, man. What a day. That was a freaking great time. The next day wasn't good, but that was a day I will never forget.
Yeah, that's what they say. Drinking, that kills the weak brain cells. Strong survive. It makes you smarter.
Maybe that's why I've gotten smarter as I've gotten older.
I don't drink water because fish screw in that shit.
I'm gonna use that one.
Yeah, where do you come up with this shit, man? Unbelievable.
My buddy was pig hunting in Georgia, and his guide, I think his name was Junior. This big dude. All he drank was sweet tea, and his wife made the sweet tea every day out of the faucet. And one day they were like, "Man, Junior, how come you only drink sweet tea?" And he's like, "I don't drink water because fish fuck in it." And it's like, your sweet tea is made with water, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that fuck in that. Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
And
we didn't cover what drinks we all were. Looks like Billy's drinking water out of an Nalgene. I saw Noble tip a can back. What are you drinking? Drinking one of those fancy beers I bought you up here?
I actually just had a jalapeno cream tonight from one of the ones you got me.
From K2, how was it?
It was extra jalapeno.
Yeah? Well, was that a positive thing or a negative thing?
I just didn't pair it with the right food. I had some a steak quesadilla, and that was all right with it, but I had some ahi too. I don't know. I should have just went straight like Mexican with it. But I'm doing a Neon Pools now from Almagang. It's a juicy hazy, and it's a bit all right.
Feedinum.
Noble spent a week up here and pruned all my willow trees, mowed my lawn a couple times, so I loaded them up with some local craft beers to take home.
Yeah,
nice.
He was willowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then one of my willow trees fell down the next day.
I just got done pruning it. Monster leader tipped right over.
Jess sent me a picture while I was at work, and I was just like, well, that's going to be there till June. I'm not touching that thing.
It is what it is.
That's why I don't climb willows right there.
Yeah.
I'm drinking fish water.
Yeah.
Bush Light.
Disappointing. Oh, you're all right then.
That's basically fish fucking water.
Yeah, as long as you don't drink any water in the Upper St. Regis, you'll be all right as far as me screwing in it.
You hit the Upper St. Regis?
Or sorry, lower the Paul.
I was gonna say you canoed 3 lakes away just to get laid in a lake.
The only time I actually canoed outside of there was a Sports Illustrated swimsuit shoot going on at the camp.
Castle.
Stop.
Seriously?
And I went over there to try to get. They had it pretty well shut down, but yeah, that was legit.
You were like, "Hey, I'm the snoot tickler. I'm here to." Which one do you want, the snoot tickler or the freaking juicer? I'll give you either one.
I just want to put the Hawaiian Tropic on you.
Yeah. Yeah, for the American car wash. Yes. Oh God.
All right. Well, we are edging 10 o'clock here, so I know we all got to get going early in the morning, but I think we ought to maybe sum up with a little predictions or advice for the rest of the season, whatever you got for anybody.
You three give hot tips on what you're going to be trying to do the last 2 weeks of season here, 2.5 weeks. I think that'd be valuable to everybody.
I'm going to apply constant and steady pressure.
You practicing the rhythm method? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah,
wait
that
for it
too.
to get a little. Yeah. Okay.
It works 50% of the time, 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I'm still just really the last couple days, I think, with this weather pattern changing. I mean, the dispersal that had gone on the previous couple weeks before season, when we had that cold snap come in, we had snow. It was like the dispersal never even happened. They literally got right back into the original wintering flocks they were in. And youth weekend was a challenge. First week, I think we just had a big old failure to communicate. The communication of the gobblers was not really going on. I mean, I did have the Rockstar 2-year-old on Sunday, which I think was just wicked fluky. I mean, it was a 300 gobble hunt, but it was one of the few 2-year-olds that are around, because I believe that's what we're feeling is the wet spring from 2 years ago. We don't have a lot of 2-year-old birds. I didn't see a lot of Jakes last year, and that carried right through to this year. Just don't got a lot of 2-year-olds, which are your most vocal birds. So I think that's why we're not having the loud spring. Because we have 3-year-olds which gobble sparingly. You'll get a hot bird every now and again, and we have wolf packs of Jakes that are everywhere. I mean, I drove a 1-mile stretch yesterday and saw an 8-pack, a 5-pack, and a 6-pack within a mile. So
Wow.
Next year is going to be fire. It's going to be, I mean, my prediction for next year is 2-year-olds are us, loud. The rest of the spring, I think you should lower your standards, increase your average. Take a Jaker. Plenty of them. Otherwise, you're going to struggle trying to kill some of these other more mature birds that got some hens still. I'm starting to see those lone hens here and there, which is positive stuff. This morning, that gobbler had 2 to 3 hens. Gobbler below my house tonight, I saw still had 2 hens. He had them all day long. They're not breaking from these hens yet, not even at that magic 10, 11 o'clock hour per se. It's only going to get better. So hang in there, everybody. We just need some 60, 70 degree days. We need some drier fields. Turkeys don't like to get wet. They're in the grass, wet, cold May, barn full of hay. These hay fields are already aggressively tall. Yeah. These birds don't want to come out and get wet. They're hanging in the timber. That's why we're not seeing them. They're hanging in the timber. They don't want to go out in the wet fields. If there's a shorter field, maybe an alfalfa field, a lower clover field, they might be out in those, but a tall rye field, not hitting them. So that's what I know. And just stay with it. But I think a lot of people are going to be discouraged to those. I think the pressure might come off a little bit, but if you're a diehard, you're going to enjoy the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like I think that a lot of this, at least over here in Western New York, the weather's been on and off. There hasn't been any consistency. And I think, even tonight, like I was driving around full, like as sunny as could be, downpouring rain. Like I was hoping that, these birds are going to finally like get out and, feel a little sun, and you'd catch them in a field before they go to roost. And then it's pouring rain. So I whether it's the barometric pressure, or just the fact that they're wet, they just don't want to be in. Like he just said, everything's super tall. I'm seeing all the hay mowers are getting tuned up. I know I'm not plugged in as good as I used to be, but I'm sure they're all itching to start, cutting hay. And once they cut the hay, I think you'll obviously see birds in fields, just because they'll be more visible, number one, but they'll want to be out there in those fields. Like right now, they have a choice between super tall grass or plowed up mud where there isn't really any food to speak of. That being said, I saw a lone longer this morning in a plowed field, and I shot a strutter in a tall grass field yesterday, but those haven't been the normal situation. And I think once we get some consistent warm weather, I think we're going to get a little stretch of that from what I've heard. I haven't really looked at the forecast because I just wake up and go, and it is what it is. But get a little bit of warm weather, get a little bit of pressure. You know, we're going to lose pressure. I don't think, like, my spots in particular don't get pressured other than me, but the neighboring properties are getting pressure. And, you know, I'm sure that first week and the, you know, week leading up to it, there's probably people stopping and looking at them and maybe calling from the road, that kind of stuff. So all that shit goes to the wayside this time of year. And then, like he just said, all the diehard hunters that really stick it out, we're going to hopefully see, you know, some better hunting for the next couple of weeks, you know, throughout the end of the season. And I'm banking on it because it's been a tough go so far. And I feel like something's got to break, you know, like, I just don't think, you know, I think that they're there and we just haven't like had the conditions all line up to have one of those like textbook days, you know. I mean, obviously people are having them, but not in a consistent fashion. So I'm optimistic for the last couple of weeks. I think it's going to get a little better. And on top of that, any hens, you know, that aren't nesting will hopefully be nesting. You're going to find more lonely gobblers. And, you know, like, again, to bring up Michael Chamberlain, he was talking about how a lot of these birds that we complain about being henned up with, and they're henned up towards the end of the season, they're henned up because those are like young of the, you know, they're first year birds that just hatched last summer, and they're not sexually viable. So they're not going to breed. So that they're just out feeding around. They don't know any better. And that, you know, that lonely longbeard, he's just strutting along behind them and thinks he's got something coming. So he's not willing to leave them. We're going to have, you got to adapt to that situation. They're never going to not be around. So you got to either convince those hens to come over and hang out with you, or, you know, you got to head them off the pass.
I definitely ran 2 unreceptive hens with a gobbler today, and he was willing to gobble and come a little bit of distance, but he didn't want to lose track of those unreceptives. It was definitely 2 unreceptives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bird I killed yesterday, there was no reason for him to leave the 2 hens that he had. But I think that a little bit of, you know, clucking and purring, soft talk, and a lot of, you know, just doing that normal stuff like feeding type noises, you know, throwing some wines in there every once in a while, that he had no interest whatsoever. He didn't even gobble. I actually got a bird in the woods hundreds of yards away. But one time when I got set up in a position where they were around the corner from me, and I was hoping that I could just hit the call a couple times and they'd walk over. And before I knew that was unlikely, but before I made my next move to get closer, I thought, let's just get aggressive and, you know, test the waters and see what happens. So I cut real hard, and a bird gobbled in the woods. And my buddy was watching from the road, and he actually saw that bird from the woods, came out to the field. And I don't know if he saw me crawling or if he just didn't want to tangle with that other longbeard that was out there, but he turned around and just walked back in the woods. But the gobbler I was after had no interest in coming to my calls. He didn't gobble, he didn't break strut, nothing. But I think me doing those little, you know, clucks and purrs and whines made that hen decide, you know, she was coming over to join up with another one, and she just dragged that gobbler with her and got him into shooting range.
Yeah, I think what you guys are saying is pretty much covering it. I mean, stay after it. Don't get discouraged. If you're not out there, you're not going to find them. I mean, if I didn't go out, it was pouring rain Saturday, and if I didn't go back out just for the hell of it, I wouldn't have known there was a gobbler in that corner from the morning hunt, and I never would have gone back there that night to roost them. And if I did go back that night to roost them, it wasn't glassing all that stuff up. I never would have saw him sitting in the tree, and he never gobbled, so I never would have known he was there. So if you're not out there doing this stuff, you're not going to find him, and you're not going to have anything to go after. So, you know, it's just staying persistent and staying on them. And I think anything you can do. I think a lot of this stuff, like you guys are talking with a soft flock talk, when you got birds that are henned up, to just bring the hens over to you. Some stuff like that. Just that bird that I killed last Thursday, I mean, he gobbled first thing in the morning, maybe 4 or 5 times. And then from us just doing a little flock talk and making sure that, you know, switching up calls, trying different things, but staying fairly quiet, just enough that, you know, they could hear you down in the woods. We were getting a gobble half an hour or so. So you just kind of kept tabs on him. And sure enough, when he got done doing what he was doing, he came right out to find us. So game of patience. If you know there's some birds in the area, Don't get discouraged because they ain't answering you, because that bird that I shot, he never gobbled to us coming in. He came in on his own. I never touched a call once he hit the field because he saw the decoys and he marched straight down it. So I figured at this point, why screw with it? He's coming right in. But so, you know, it takes a little bit of the excitement away, not having him gobble all the way down the field. But at the same point, you know, sometimes you got to play the game and get them how you can get them. So,
yeah. Patience and confidence. That's what it
confidence. Huge.
Confidence.
And turkeys can't see ground blind, so don't be afraid to sit in them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you, I think you asked Tyler if how he felt, or if he had ever set a ground blind up in the middle of a field. You've never done that before?
No.
Oh man, you're missing out.
That's basically that's what I just did on Sunday, and we were in that thing for 10 minutes, and we called a hen in the middle of a field.
Yeah.
I was definitely missing out because
at all.
Every bird that we've shot this year has been out of a ground blind, and it was like the coolest hunt ever. So
it's cool for getting them close. That's for sure. You know, you get away with a little bit of movement. And I had a hen actually brushing up against the blind one time.
The first morning we set the blind up to hunt out of it. We had one do that to us. I was waiting for it to stick its head in the front window when she walked by.
I was with my dad, and she was feeding right outside the blind, and I could hear her tail. Every time she turned, her tail would rub against the blind. And I stood up and looked out the window, and she had spurs and a beard. She was bearded too, but it was 100% a hen.
It's a shooter hen.
Should have shot her. We should have shot her because the gobbler was like 150 yards out in the field gobbling, and we couldn't even hear him gobble. But we never did kill him.
Yeah, I would have totally diced that hen.
I don't know, man. I consistently have turkeys in that spot. She might be the only breeding hen there that, you know, she might be what's perpetuating the gobblers throughout the years.
More power to you.
Right?
What a lady.
No, I saw from most of my observations through open the weekend too, there's a lot of double shot, and I think that was attributed to the flocks not being broke up too. There's more double shot this year, I think, than I've ever seen in my life.
You're saying 2 hunters doubling.
2 hunters doubles, yeah, a lot of doubles open in weekend and right carrying right through. There's just, they didn't disperse the way that they usually do, and I think that was a strong attributed factor to why there were so many doubles.
Interesting.
I didn't think about that, but I have seen a lot of doubles.
A lot of doubles this year, more than usual.
You got anything else, Slick?
No, I guess just in closing, it's good to get, you three are definitely 3 people to listen to, that are having success out there. And, Brian and Andrew, I appreciate you guys, your insights on that stuff are definitely very valuable. And it can be, you can get down in the dumps when you aren't having the action, but you're bringing up a great point that, it's the whole season. Everybody rushes out there in the first weekend, the first 2 weekends, and then there's nobody around. And that's when the hunting really gets good. So I'm looking forward to sneaking out a couple of times here towards the end of the season and seeing if I can have some luck myself.
And you can sneak now. There's foliage. It's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Everybody should just stop hunting, though. It's probably not going to be good.
Yeah, the place is a dump. Nobody, you don't want turkey hunt.
There's no birds here. They need to stop selling tags.
Yeah. Billy, are we going to get together and go check out your spot you wanted to go check out?
Yeah. I'm thinking towards once we get maybe the last week or two of the month, I'd like to meet up and go out for a morning, maybe
let's hit it up.
like a Tuesday or a Thursday morning. Those are better mornings for me because
we're due for a Billy live.
We are.
I'm really enjoying
over there.
Those are hilarious.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, over there. And Brian, tomorrow, we could just keep saying we're going to finish this podcast, and then we just keep going on other stuff. I have your shirts. I'm coming through Bloomfield tomorrow, so I'll drop your shirts off for you guys. I got that stuff for you.
Cool, man.
So
just throw them in. You know where my house is?
No, I have your address, so I'll find it.
You
just throw them in the garage.
drive down the road, and then look for the devil's numbers, and then
That's I was about to say that. A bunch of sixes. Yep.
and then it looks like Vegas. There's a lot of like flashing lights, and it's
just just garbage out in the yard and like old vehicles that are broken down and sunken in the mud.
Looks like a twist.
Look for all of that.
Turkey feathers everywhere.
All right,
I did feel pretty good today driving down the road and having a turkey feather blow out of the back of the truck every couple of minutes. I was like, hell with that.
Yeah, I found one on the garage floor after I pulled my truck out of the garage tonight, and I'm like, yep, there's one.
Did you snoot Jacobson's windshield or not?
I didn't.
Oh,
should have though.
That would have been funny. What, the old snail trail on the windshield? Is that what you're talking about?
I'll fill you in on the snoodle later, bud.
Okay, yeah, it's maybe not appropriate.
You guys have a good mud season.
Yeah, you guys finish strong. We'll maybe catch an update here at the end of season. Thanks for spending some time with us, and good luck out there.
Yeah, good luck, fellas.
Feed them.
Feed them.
Breed them.
Breed them. Ain't breeding them no more.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.